Exceptionally successful. And she makes incredible chocolate. So when I go home, I'm buying someone else. But she and I were basically that two happy. So we were together.
My stuff out. The same conversation. So this is the secondary thing. I didn't even need to do this. I didn't know that. I didn't know you had to set up on my two. So, Lisa.
Lisa's here somewhere.
Oh, you seen her already?
Thank you.
Yeah, she and I already spent an hour together.
Oh.
Did I notice that yesterday you had bandages on your wrist? Are they still? Is that your poison ivy? Oh, poison ivy. What's the difference? Oh, God, what?
Last night I was
That was disgusting.
and a veggie not drinking. Like leprosy.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
All right. So I
to session the work session at our late starting time of 5 o'clock. And we'll open with a Kellogg Creek Bridge design update with our engineering director, Chucky.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, councilors. So this is kind of both an update and a follow-up to our July 5th meeting related to some of the aesthetics of the bridge and the related issues. As a quick thing, as part of the actual update, we've completed this year's in-water work. So down into Kellogg Creek, I don't know if any of you happen to have been down there yet, but which includes a lot of the lumber, trees that were added down into the creek for fish walk.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that was part of that.
And then some of the slope stabilization on the south bank. The contractor submitted for the foundation permits. They're actually in building right now for review. The pile driving is hopefully to begin next week if they get out of building review, which we hope to be able to accomplish. So you may see actually some pile drivers show up.
How many days do you think that the pile driving is going to be happening?
They don't seem to think very much. They seem to think like less than a week. But,
Okay.
it'll probably be there. Our guess is if they show up, start mobilizing next week, they'll be there for 2 weeks. And then
Okay. Just so the constituents know, that is going to be a loud process. So fair warning, it's going to be a loud process probably starting on Monday or Tuesday. Or when?
probably Tuesday or Wednesday, right? I would guess that you'll just see mobilization and some equipment start to show up and piles start to show up.
We're going to send letters to the people across the road.
We are going to be doing Facebook posts. We're doing some tweets. We're working on a couple of scenarios with Jordan right now. So we will get word out.
It will only be a daytime operation. So they're not going to work at night or anything like that. So, you only have 4 per bed to put in, so it's not. The grant funding has been confirmed by both FEMA and IFA for the complete project. So we have completed all of our environmental reviews and satisfied all the different requirements. So all of that has come through. So that's good news. Basically, all but one of the funding pieces is in place. So. And then we have the architectural elements that we're talking about, which are rails and form liners. Your guys' favorite, right? The concrete rail, if you remember the original design, and I do not have that up here, I have that on the screen up there, was the square box rail, Texas rail with the square window openings. You were not overly impressed with the square window openings, but did like the concrete rail at the last meeting. So, and you also asked for us, basically to go back and look at window revisions, which was part of the contractor's scope, and to extend the rail. If you remember right, there was guardrail and pedestrian rails off the ends rather than the concrete rail. So the contractor has come back with this particular design that the cost increase in your staff report is about $23,000 for this to extend the rail, and then the window treatment is basically hardly anything, but it's an arch window. It's a little narrower window, which conforms with the building department's requirements for fall protection. If you see the really big windows that look like windows in the pilasters, those are actually just little reliefs. They're not actually all the way through. So the only ones that are actually all the way through are the narrow ones.
Okay. Was that the case with the square one as well?
That was the case with the square one.
Bigger squares.
So with that, basically you can see here on the top is the layout that's been extended all the way to the ends of the impact panels, which is the limits that we need of the rail. The little tapered section that you saw on the previous slide and this slide is actually a safety requirement for traffic on that one corner of the bridge, because cars could otherwise hit the rail head on. if they get over the curb. So, because that's the side without sidewalks. So the rail is right there. So it's a safety requirement for that little taper down. So with that, that's the end of the rail thing. Hopefully that, I'm wondering if that meets your concerns and everything's good to go.
I think it looks good. I like that it extends all the way. It's much more attractive.
So it does extend all the way. I was having trouble understanding that in the staff report, like how much more it was going to cost to extend it.
So it extends the impact panel. Yeah, it's $23,000, $354 to be exact, to extend the rails all the way, and that takes out the pedestrian rail, the guardrail, takes out the painting. We've got some credits, so it's a little more than that to extend it, but we've got some credits on stuff we took out of the project.
So that's the net increase.
Yeah, that's the net increase.
Okay.
And that's all within the current authorization amounts, so there's no additional authorizations.
I was going to say, I'm okay with the arch. I'm okay with the square. I don't know that I see that as necessarily better than the square, but yeah.
But the extension is actually what's costing
That's what's costing.
the additional money.
Right.
So
Right.
I think the arch is, more aesthetically pleasing, in some ways, but I'd probably be okay with either of them too. But I like the arch. It looks, it looks classy.
The only reason the arch
And it fits with something else.
it's because it matches the bridge that's already on 90.
Yeah.
But otherwise,
Right.
I would prefer the square personally, but that's a personal preference.
Yeah.
So the arch is what's in the plans.
I like the arches.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So concrete form liners. We had mentioned that the contractor did propose an option of basically form liners or something that is applied to the plywood, and then the concrete's poured against it and gives a texture. The contractor provided 22 options. There's no way I was bringing 22 options here. So I took the 22 options to PARB and had them look at them. They voted on them. We requested their vote on the top three and they had 5 of the options received first place votes, so that's why we kind of submitted the 5 that are in your staff report. Only 1 option received 2 first place votes. And then 2 members of PARB actually would like to have seen alternatives to
the
ones
22 choices?
Yeah. And so they would like to have seen a more lineal, vertical, or horizontal type approach, which I've got some examples here on what they would look like. When we're talking form liners, I think it's important to think about scale. The area that's highlighted here in red up on the screen is all that would be visible. The rest of the structure is all underground. So you can see.
And will it also be under the bridge or just?
It would be under the bridge too, but only from the bottom of the beams down.
Right.
Because the rest is closure pores in between each beam in really weird shapes. There's just no way to do form liners up in there. So it's only going to be the cap, which most of the pile cap's underground. So it would just be from the bottom of the beam to the bottom. You can see the south vent, which is the right one, has a little more exposed than the other. So it's important to think about that as scale of these rock form liners, because you're not going to have a lot visible. The top 3 vote getters were the 3 dry stack, basically, or stone type looks. Those are in order of the number of votes they got. So the dry stack was the top voter getter, then the New England, and then the Royal Light. The other 2 that received first place votes were the random large stone, which is similar to a lot of the public works stuff, and then the cobblestone large. The 2 samples that the other gentleman would like to have seen are something more of a vertical type, variable depth type approach that's on the left, or a horizontal, pure striation type approach on the right.
So on the dry stacks, Is there a particular reason why the New England dry stack is so much darker? Is it meant to be stained, or is it?
These are off the supplier's website, so whatever they took the picture of is the only reason they're darker.
Okay, and are these going to be stained, or are they going to be concrete gray?
No, we pulled the stain out. Per your last discussions, we pulled the stain out, and that was part of the savings to keep the cost down of the rails. So these are just pure concrete color.
Okay.
And what do we have around the light rail station? None of these are exactly what we have around the light rail station, are they?
Now, I think
Probably
they were
most
more of
similar
a,
to the
Dry stack.
Royal Light.
Oh, yeah.
I think so. I
Yeah,
don't think it
that sounds-
looks like there's grout. I think it looks,
they're a little larger rock though.
yeah, but more like the
Yeah.
Royal Light, right?
The one that looked to New England dry stack when I was just sort of wondering what Klein Point looks like, and that one seems to match.
That's
The
that
best.
seemed really good.
yeah.
I hadn't thought
So that was the only.
And
That's where I was
can't even
leaning to,
visualize
was
that.
either one of
Well,
the
if
dry
you go
stacks.
to Google Maps, you can actually walk.
Does it see? Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that's what I did.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So is there one of those that's closest to
I
it?
thought that the 1203, the New England
The
dry
New
stack,
England dry
looked to me
stack.
to be the closest match.
Dry stack.
But then again, I don't really, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know, but to your point, the variation in the color, I don't know.
the variation would be obviously concrete's going to darken as it gets older.
Okay.
So
I'm actually fine with all three of those top votes. If I was forced to choose, I'd pick one of the dry stacks, either one.
Yeah. Me too.
That work?
I'm good.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like Angel's thought of trying
I mean, it's
to
close to
Yeah.
matching.
come in as close to matching Klein Point as we can.
So you want us to basically go kind of take a look at Klein Point and see which one of those two match and then pick that one? Is that what I'm hearing? Consensus?
Sure.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
And under 30 minutes, see Scott? That's basically it, unless you have any other questions related to the project or things going on out there.
Timeline?
Construction, so as soon as the pile driving is going on, that's a couple weeks, then they're going to be submitting here within the next week or so the actual full structural package for the bridge. That'll take a little bit longer for us to review than the foundation. And then they'll be constructing that over the winter. And the idea is by the July 1st date, the new bridge would be open so they could be demoing the old bridge when the next rainwater window period comes up.
And when you demo the old bridge, does that include those wing walls, or the wing walls stay?
Do you know how there's a concrete slab where the water cascades off of? We'll vertically wall cut right up from there. So everything will be gone from there, and then they'll drive. They actually may. Good question. There may be more than 8 piles. They may drive the piles for the temporary wing walls that will get reinstalled to hold the trolley trail bank up until the dam removal project, until the rest of the stuff happens. So there's, in the process, if I go back to the picture here, it shows up. Where is it? So if you look next to the old bridge, you see those 2 dark lines that cut through what is now a road. Just to the bottom of the top picture, you see the old bridge, right, which is a little teeny bridge. Then you see 2 dark lines. Those are new wing walls that we're installing to support the trolley trail area.
Okay.
Okay. So coming out from where it says bridge plan, these
Right.
things that are coming out like
Right.
that? Okay.
Those are temporary timber lag walls with piles until we get the rest of the thing designed on the other side.
So that's going in this fall or next year when they take the
They'll probably
bridge?
drive the pile now.
Yeah. We've got a pile driver.
Well, they haven't told us they're going to close the bridge, so it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But they don't need that for structural purposes till they're ready to take the old bridge down?
Correct.
Okay. Since we have you here, can I ask you another question? Unrelated to Kellogg Creek Bridge, which Ann actually answered this question for me earlier, but I thought since you're on camera, it'd be good to get the news out there, which is sort of the progress and timeline for 42nd Avenue.
42nd Avenue, the contract date is Thanksgiving. The contractor is behind schedule. And we are working with him diligently trying to figure out how he can make up some time. At this point, we are not really optimistic that he will be able to make up enough time to get completion within the contract time. So, but he has not given us a new completion time as of today, and we've been asking for it.
But they were out working today. I tried to drive through there, and I eventually decided to go take the detour.
I'm so used to going up that street from my place.
Yeah.
I have to remember not to do that.
Yeah, it gives us some cause to concern that he's behind schedule, but we're trying to stay on top of him to see what we can get it done.
Yeah.
I mean, is there a weather reason why Thanksgiving is as December gets worse weather-wise?
How cold it gets is a factor of both the cemetery base and the asphalt.
Yeah.
So by our specification, he can't pave asphalt if the surface temperature is below 40 degrees.
Okay.
So
We've had unseasonably cold weather. I've been complaining right and left.
it's not the air temperature, it's the ground temperature.
It's the ground temperature. Okay.
So if once December happens, we're pretty much starting to lose that window. It's too risky. And once we pulverize that road to recycle it, we're kind of committed.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anything else? Random questions for Chuck?
Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you.
I like random questions.
Well, at least he didn't have to.
So before we go off air, since we have a few minutes, we are also in the process of prepping for the community dinner that we do with the other counties, other cities dinner. And we have 2 panelists that have been selected. Those are Representative Power and Senator Taylor.
Right.
We need to ask 2 more. There hasn't been consensus when we've talked to people offline, so we wanted to give you guys a chance to let us know
To fight it out here.
who you would like us to invite and how you'd like us to set that criteria.
I think I think it would be interesting to have a new representative, Andrea Salinas. What's she plan on doing? How does her background blend into what we need in Clackamas County and Milwaukee? She's maybe not as familiar with Milwaukee, but then none of the other representatives outside of Taylor and Power would be either.
Well, but it's not just for Milwaukee, right?
It's for the whole county.
It's for all the county. That's true. That's right.
The advantage is that
exactly. So
the
Andrea
whole county gets to meet her.
Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of them haven't met her yet.
I would say virtually none of them. Some of the county
probably
commissioners.
Few of them. Yeah, I've known Andrea for a number of years, but through other venues. So so I think she would be a good one.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And another?
Well, I think we have to have a Republican.
We have to have a Republican.
Yeah.
And then you go, well, is it unfair?
I disagree, and here's my thought on that. I actually think that there was you get balance from the county as a whole, and the people in I actually would say that I thought inviting Monroe made sense because he represents people who are in our UGMA, and if it's Milwaukee's dinner, then we should be inviting people who represent Milwaukee, and if the voters had chosen a Republican in this area, then that would make a lot of sense to me.
Olson
But
also
that's
has
just
a part of our UGMA.
Yeah.
The southern part out there is Olson's. Kendra's house is in Olson's.
Okay. I'm trying to think of where that boundary is because it just didn't look to me
It's
like.
one of those weird little, it's not a huge chunk.
Yeah, but the
It's
majority,
probably
I mean,
a
the
couple hundred
vast
people.
majority of our isn't.
Is Monroe.
But I mean, we haven't picked people in the past
That were just in.
that were just representing Milwaukee.
No, I
And
actually
think-
reached out
Kennemer
last time.
And
I think we need somebody from the other side.
And
of the
Kennemer
river,
always,
actually.
Kennemer always does a good job. He's really smart, knows what's going on. We haven't had Senator Thompson, Chuck Thompson, and he represents Hood River and then that northeastern part of Clackamas County. And
Does he
so
represent Sandy?
He has out in that whole area. I'm not sure exactly where the lines are, but. And Jeff Reardon, he represents Happy Valley somewhat, but he's state representative. Want to look at senator and senator.
Well, and by then will they have, I'm trying to think of where that boundary is, the senator that's being replaced because he's now on the
Devlin.
Doesn't
Well, I saw
his-
Greg McPherson's put in that he's running, so he's
A
from
bunch of
Lake
people.
Oswego.
It's
So
a-
it must be like, it has to include part of Lake O.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So will they have appointed, they should have appointed by then, right?
I have no
Possibly
idea.
not. Look how long it took him to, it took
No idea.
a while.
They got the session coming up, they can't fiddle around too
They
much
can't,
longer.
that's true.
Right.
They can't wait too long. And is that another it has to be a 2-county?
Actually, that one's all 3 counties. Devlin definitely
Oh, that makes
has
it
pieces
fun.
of all 3 counties out, so I thought
Yeah.
that'll make it real interesting.
3 meaning Washington,
Clackamas,
Washington, Clackamas, and Multnomah.
Multnomah? How is it in Multnomah? Okay.
I don't know. I don't know who drew these lines.
I've lost track of who has what district. I don't know.
So that would be the other possibility, is to have the 2 new
Yeah.
people as, our 2 reps and then the 2, which would give us a rep and a senator.
It does mean that you're not having conversations with people who are as high ranking on committees, which has been an issue for you guys in the past.
Yep.
Which are what? People do.
That you're not speaking with people who are ranked high on committees.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's been an issue for you in the past that you've raised with us.
Well, we actually, last year, we reached out and tried to invite some of the senior leadership. We invited Tina Kotak and we invited Ferrioli.
Right.
Ferrioli wasn't willing to do the drive. And Tina was busy.
We could ask Peter Courtney. It's just.
I was gonna say, I think that's a question we have to decide is, do we want it to be the people with the most oomph, that can give us the most real inside skinny or, whatever, or is it about meeting the new people? Because to me, those are 2 different things. And maybe we invite the new people, even if we don't invite them to speak. We invite them to come and be introduced.
Exactly. Yeah, that's certainly
That's an
doable.
interesting idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now, the way that we do the breakdown of cost is that if you're a speaker, we comp you and the city pays. So it would just mean that we would end up paying probably 4 or 5 additional slots, not a problem. It's $35 a pop.
Well, probably just a couple, aren't there? Just a couple of new people that weren't there. There's just the ones that have been appointed. It wasn't until it's Devlin's seat, but then Andrea who was appointed. But those are the only 2 vacancies, I think, that came up in it.
I am happy to report I do not know the answer.
Okay,
So if it's 2,
I don't know the answer to that either.
I'm pretty
Those are
sure
the only
you're
ones
right, that it should be only 2.
Those are the only ones I'm really familiar with. Yeah.
Since there hasn't been an election.
Yeah, because everybody else got elected at least 2 years ago. Because they're all, a year and a half, because they're all up again
up for
next year. So.
Well, we can try, if we invite Courtney, we're going to have to put him up for the night. He's not going to drive up here and Salem, it's not that far.
We don't go that late. Usually we're over at 8 or 8:30. It's not a late night party. Are we doing it at Bob's Red Mill again?
Yeah, and that's confirmed. We've got the menu ready.
Yeah, and Peter lives in Salem, doesn't he? So, yeah. Right.
Thompson's district comes all the way up to 205. So just the other side of 205 from our arc.
So that's not an RF.
Not our.
But it's Happy Valley, so
It
it's got
skirts most of Happy Valley, but it goes from Hood River all the way Highway 212, the Sunrise Corridor,
Okay.
to be.
Wow, okay.
I know it's big, yeah.
It's really big.
Very sparsely populated.
You know, I don't know these people enough to have an opinion as to who's a better speaker. I mean, I like us to have some political balance, but I don't know who. I mean, there's also people who are on both sides who are just better speakers or better at focusing on a question and really answering it than giving you some blah, blah, blah speech they like to give. So, I mean, I would defer to those of you who know them better to pick.
So it would partly depend. I mean, we were really interested in housing last year, and so that was also part of the reason for some of the, consideration, if I remember correctly. Yeah. But this year, so if it's climate or,
that is the big
anything
bill.
like that, I mean, then you probably want to invite Olson so that he can speak on the opposite.
Refute climate change?
So that he can speak on the opposite side of it. I heard him speak Monday, and so I, kind of know what he thinks.
I kind of know what he thinks too.
But he is on the, what's the name of that, the energy and whatever committee?
No, he was.
Yeah.
On energy and environment, or.
Yeah, so I can't remember what the name of it is.
Yeah, vice chair.
Yeah. He's, well, there's one that he just got appointed to.
Well, that's the Oregon Global Warming Commission, which is not strictly a legislative
thing. Okay.
It's
but that's going to be an interesting. Yeah.
It was a fascinating decision on Courtney's part.
Yeah.
We could try inviting Courtney.
We never get what you don't ask for.
Well, do we ask Kathleen to invite him?
Oh, there's a thought.
Smart.
Karen asked that the speaker last year for us.
Did she? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good thought. Yeah.
Oh, that's what we could do then, was ask for Tina and Peter again, and then have our backups of Olson.
Well, Salinas is who I said. But
right, but if we're going to invite them to the dinner just so people can get to know them.
Then somebody else. Yeah, we haven't had Reardon.
We haven't had Reardon.
Yeah.
Does he have part of class?
Yeah, he has part of Happy Valley, I believe, isn't it, Scott? Are you looking at? Yeah, because it was Michael Schaffler before that, and Schaffler was a Clackamas County rep. Yeah. And in the Chambers area, so it would have to be like Damascus, Happy Valley, whatever area. Yeah.
All of our UGMA from the county line clear on down to Clackamas Road to past Beeson.
Including our UGMA? Oh, okay.
That's Reardon?
Everything to our 205 to our border, looks like, actually. To our city border, pretty much.
Is Reardon?
Is Reardon from our border to past 205.
Let's do Reardon then, and
yeah, that's
Olson if we can't get the speaker. And
okay.
Peter.
Yeah.
So it's not Courtney. Okay.
Yeah, so try for Courtney and Tina, and if we don't get them, what are the odds?
Maybe let them know that in the invitation.
Yeah, in your stead, we'll have Senator Olson, and that would be funny. Pick their arch enemies and say that's who we're inviting.
But we asked you first because we really want you. We understand if you can't do it, but here's what we're going to have.
Okay, we will do the outreach over the next week, and we'll work with Sarah Taylor to see if she will make the ask.
Yeah, and then if Karen could ask Tina then, right? And we talk, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That would be a very interesting.
And what's our date?
January 24th.
25th.
25th.
Yes, January 25th.
All right.
All right.
That's
Is
it.
that it? Okay, then the work session is adjourned.
Thank you.
We'll start the regular session in 20.